Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Dakota Fundraising News Podcast. Today is Wednesday, October 30th. It is Halloween. Konch, what are you dressing up as this year for Halloween?
It's honestly my least favorite holiday of the year. I have a housewarming / Halloween party on Saturday. Need to figure that out. So TBD, I'll let you know next week, though.
Nice. I'm going to be a cowboy. Very excited about that. I think we will have some fundraising news today from Texas as well. So maybe I should have done this in my cowboy costume. Want to say thank you to everyone who came out to our Philadelphia hometown Dakota cocktails last week. Special shout out to podcast listener Matthew DuPont with Aberdeen. It was great to see you, Matt. I know you're listening to this today. So it was fun to connect in person with everyone else as well. And then, I think let's just kick right into it, Konch. So we'll start out job changes. I'll kick us off. Alex Herman has joined Stone Temple Partners, not to be confused with the rock band Stone Temple Stone Temple Pilots. So that change happened. He is now the CIO of Stone Temple Partners, a single-family office in New York City.
Awesome. Yeah, next up, Davis Parsons here. He's joined Cliffwater. This actually happened earlier this year, but still wanted to call it out as we're trying to focus on consultant coverage as we can. Previously, he was over at Stepstone on their private credit side. And then I'll just call it the next one here as well. Sebastian Ahlhorn has been promoted at the Commerzbank bank over in Germany. He's now their global head of ultra high net worth individuals and family offices. He's been with them since the beginning of the year. Prior to that was the CFO over at Finvia. Ton of movement on the RIA side as always. Pat, why don't you lead us off there?
Yeah, happy to. Alvarez and Marsal, a RIA, is launching a new 20-person RIA, Alvarez Marsal Private Wealth Partners. So it's going to be AMPWP as the abbreviation there. That is a new ultra-high net worth RIA that they'll be launching bi-coastal. So they'll have offices on the East Coast in West Palm Beach, Atlanta, New York. They'll also have a presence in LA. Key leadership is staying the same. And then Peter Scarapanti is going to be leading the efforts as chairman of the newly formed organization AMPWP. Just talked about Texas, so I'll just keep rolling with this one as well. Again, wish I was wearing my bolo tie for this, but Raymond James has added a $1.3 billion advisor from Merrill Lynch. That is Melinda Johnson from M2J Wealth Management. That was an independent practice that's now going to be brought into the Raymond James umbrella, operating out of their Fort Worth, Texas branch. Little travel tip if anyone's going to Fort Worth, Texas, the burgers from the Love Shack, unbelievable, and my uncle owns it.
Awesome. I was going to ask, what are you doing over in Fort Worth? I'll finish this off here with the RIA acquisitions. Lenexa, Kansas-based RIA, Modern Wealth Management. We don't talk about them a ton here. They've just crossed over the $6 billion AUM mark with this acquisition. They're going to be acquiring Petso Financial Consultants, $1.4 billion RIA based out in Idaho. This is Modern Wealth's 11th acquisition to date and the 6th this year.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, Boise, Idaho. I think the whole state of Idaho actually is the United States' best kept secret. So if you're listening in to this podcast now, you know it's unbelievable. McCall, Idaho, very fun little river town. A lot of good stuff to do in the summer. On the institutional side, Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund looking for private real estate, specifically on the either value add or opportunistic side. These are going to be closed-end funds that they're looking for, and it is U.S. residential real estate, single or multi-strategy equity funds focused, again, exclusively on residential real estate. This can include, but certainly not limited to, affordable housing, senior housing, built-to-rent, manufactured housing, and student housing. That is a $50 million search with a deadline of November 22nd.
Awesome. Yeah, going over to the West Coast, Alameda County Employees Retirement System, $11.3 billion pension plan. They're leveraging NEPC as their consultant. They recently disclosed their private credit investment plan. So, as our listeners know, we've been talking about private credit a ton here. As far as the Alameda County, they're going to be targeting around $330 million to private credit over the next year, spread across 4 to 7 individual investments. So breaking that down, it's going to be up to $210 million for direct lending funds, and then up to $130 million for opportunistic and distressed over there. Kind of in the same vein, but on the fixed income side, Town of Plymouth Retirement System, I think they updated their high yield manager. Pat, why don't you let us know what happened there?
Yeah, so They approved a motion that's going to select Artisan Partners as their new high yield manager that is going to be replacing Columbia. That is for a 7-year mandate. Beach Point was also considered a great firm. Really, all three great firms. So definitely a highly contested high yield search race there. But congratulations to the folks over at Artisan Partners on taking home the win.
Yeah, nice. They use Fiducian Advisors, I believe, too, as their consultants. So they were beneficial there in that search. We'll go over to some new investments that we've tracked recently. Pennsylvania Public School Employees Retirement System, about 90 minutes from where we're sitting right now. Probably they've disclosed $250 million going to private credit, structured credit mandate. This is going to be going to Brookfield Infrastructure Structured Solutions. Pennsylvania Public Schools, they manage just over $77 billion, leveraging Veris as their consultant.
Yeah, and in keeping with our cowboy theme, maybe even more so than Fort Worth, probably not, but potentially, Wyoming. Wyoming State Loan and Investment Board, $24 billion under management using RVK as their consultant. They have approved 3 new commitments. It is $100 million to North Haven Private Equity. It's a co-invest opportunities fund 3. Another $150 million to Pantheon Credit Opportunities 3. That's an opportunistic credit fund. And then finally, $400 million to Westwood Global ex-US Equity, so naturally an international equity fund there. Really large commitments actually coming out of Wyoming, so very exciting to see. Particularly interesting to see the one going into international equities. Just feel like we don't see a ton of institutional mandates going to equities these days, so fun to always call it out when we do.
Yeah, love it. We'll go back over to Fairfax County out in close to DC, Virginia. Fairfax County Educational Employees Supplementary Retirement System, quite a mouthful there. They manage around just over $3 billion in assets and leverage Segal Markle and Makita as their consultants. They disclosed 2 investments recently in private equity and real estate. So $5 million they're going to be allocating to the Linden Capital Partners Fund 6, and then $6 million to core real estate. That's going to be in the CBRE U.S. Logistic Partners Fund. I know the other week when I was out and you did a little solo pod, you introduced a new segment around fundraising updates, Pat. So since you introduced that segment, why don't you lead us off here?
Yeah, I'm happy to. I'll start in Miami with a successful might even be an understatement, successful fundraise out of H.I.G capital. That is with their flagship fund 7. They surpassed their target of $1.75 billion and raised $2 billion in aggregate commitments on that final close. Global LPs all invested in that, from sovereign wealths to family offices. Per Dakota Marketplace, per the data that we collect internally, some of their investors have included Texas County District Retirement System, which committed $54 million to the vehicle, Orange County Employees Retirement with a $45 million commitment, and Illinois Municipal with a $35 million commitment, and then North Dakota State with $17 million in commitments. So obviously a range of those not covered, but those are some that we did just want to call out, some of the highlights there. Talk to me about Adams Street, though. Let's take it back to Chicago.
Yeah, another pretty significant fund close here. So they've closed $1.1 billion on their 2024 Global Fund Program. As far as the investors in the program, it's a mix of private and public investors, pension funds, high net worth individuals, and some endowments, according to the press release. And for the Global Fund Program, it's expected that it's going to surpass the public equity markets by 3 to 5%, according to Adams Street. Currently, they manage around $60 billion in assets, so obviously a major firm there making some major moves.
Nice. I'll close out for us today. So 361, that's 360 the number, and then the word one, is an Indian firm that is backed by Bain, and they are looking to launch a private credit fund with a target of $357 million. It's about 30 billion rupees. That was reported on October 28th from an unnamed source. Bloomberg is our source. We just want to call that out. That is the 5th generation of the fund. The fund's predecessor raised $253 million, so looking to increase that by just over 100. On this topic, this Friday, when the next episode of the Dakota podcast comes out, is the first day of Diwali, or potentially the second day of Diwali. Forgive me for not knowing the exact day, but just want to say happy Diwali to all of our listeners. While we're on the topic of events and things that are happening, naturally next week, Election Day. Hope everyone has a plan to get out and vote. And then the day after Election Day, 11/6, we will have our Toronto Dakota cocktails. I had originally intended on going. Unfortunately, I cannot go anymore, but we trust that everyone will have a great time there. You'll see our colleagues Sean Dolan, Jimmy Gabrielson, John Powers, and some other folks from the team, Catherine Beeger, and some others that are household Dakota names here. So thanks everyone for listening in. As always, we will be back on Friday. Again, happy Diwali, and hope everyone has a plan to vote next week.
Thank you.
This episode is brought to you by Dakota Marketplace. Are you tired of constantly jumping between multiple databases and channels to find the right investment opportunities? Introducing Dakota Marketplace, the comprehensive institutional and intermediate database built by fundraisers for fundraisers. With Dakota Marketplace, you'll have access to all channels and asset classes in one place, saving you time and streamlining your fundraising process. Say goodbye to the frustration of searching through multiple databases, websites, Form ADVs, and say hello to a seamless and efficient fundraising experience. Sign up now and see the difference Dakota Marketplace can make for you. Visit dakota.com/Dakota-Marketplace today.